The architecture of ancient Greece is the architecture produced by the Greek-speaking people whose culture flourished on the Greek mainland in the Peloponnese, the Aegean Islands, and in colonies in Anatolia and Italy for a period from about 900 BC until the 1st century AD, with the earliest remaining architectural works dating from around 600 BC. Ancient Greek architecture is best known from its temples, many of which are found throughout the region, mostly as ruins but many substantially intact. Other architectural forms that is still in evidence are the processional gateway, the public square surrounded by storied colonnade, the town council building, the public monument, the monumental tomb and the stadium. Ancient Greek architecture is distinguished by its highly formalized characteristics, both of structure and decoration. This is particularly so in the case of temples where each building appears to have been conceived as a sculptural entity within the landscape, most often raised on high ground so that the elegance of its proportions and the effects of light on its surfaces might be viewed from all angles. Nikolaos Pevsner refers to the plastic shape of the Greek temple placed before us with a physical presence more intense, more alive than that of any later building. The formal vocabulary of ancient Greek architecture, in particular the division of architectural style into three defined orders, the Doric order, the Ionic order and the Corinthian order, was to have profound effect on Western architecture of later periods. The architecture of ancient Rome grew out of that of Greece and maintained its influence in Italy unbroken until the present day. From the Renaissance, revivals of classicism have kept alive not only the precise forms and ordered details of Greek architecture, but also its concept of architectural beauty, based on balance and proportion. The successive styles of neoclassical architecture and Greek revival architecture followed and adapted ancient Greek styles closely. Several issues related to interpretation, restoration and reconstruction of ancient Greek architectural monuments are often assisted by new technologies, including 3D and virtual or augmented reality environments. Influences. Geography. The mainland and islands of Greece are rocky, with deeply indented coastline, and rugged mountain ranges with few substantial forests. The most freely available building material is stone. Limestone was readily available and easily worked. There is an abundance of high-quality white marble both on the mainland and islands, particularly Paros and Naxos. This finely grained material was a major contributing factor to precision of detail, both architectural and sculptural, that adorned ancient Greek architecture. Deposits of high-quality potter's clay were found throughout Greece and the islands, with major deposits near Athens. It was used not only for pottery vessels, but also roof tiles and architectural decoration. The climate of Greece is maritime, with both the coldness of winter and the heat of summer tempered by sea breezes. This led to a lifestyle where many activities took place outdoors. Hence temples were placed on hilltops, their exteriors designed as a visual focus of gatherings and processions, while theatres were often an enhancement of a naturally occurring sloping site where people could sit, rather than a containing structure. Colonnades encircling buildings, or surrounding courtyards provided shelter from the sun and from sudden winter storms. The light of Greece may be another important factor in the development of the particular character of ancient Greek architecture. The light is often extremely bright, with both the sky and the sea vividly blue. The clear light and sharp shadows give a precision to the details of landscape, pale rocky outcrops and seashore. This clarity is alternated with periods of haze that varies in color to the light on it. In this characteristic environment, the ancient Greek architects constructed buildings that were marked by precision of detail. The gleaming marble surfaces were smooth curved fluted, or ornately sculpted to reflect the sun. cast graded shadows and change in color with the ever-changing light of day. History historians divide ancient Greek civilization into two eras, the Hellenic period, and the Hellenistic period. During the earlier period, substantial works of architecture began to appear. During the later period, Greek culture spread widely, initially as a result of Alexander's conquest of other lands, and later as a result of the rise of the Roman Empire, which adopted much of Greek culture. Before the Hellenic era, two major cultures had dominated the region: the Minoan and the Mycenaean. Minoan is the name given by modern historians to the culture of the people of ancient Crete, known for its elaborate and richly decorated palaces, and for its pottery painted with floral and marine motifs. The Mycenaean culture, which flourished on the Peloponnesus, was quite different in character. Its people built citadels, fortifications and tombs rather than palaces, and decorated their pottery with bands of marching soldiers rather than octopus and seaweed. Both these civilizations came to an end around 1100 BC, that of Crete possibly because of volcanic devastation, and that of Mycenae because of an invasion by the Dorian people who lived on the Greek mainland. Following these events, there was a period from which few signs of culture remain. This period is thus often referred to as a Dark Age. The towns established by the Dorian people were ruled initially by an aristocracy, and later by tyrants, leaders who rose from the merchant or warrior classes. Some cities, such as Sparta, maintained a strongly ordered and conservative character, like that of the Mycenae. The culture of Athens, on the other hand, was influenced by the influx of Ionian people from Asia Minor. In the cultural diversity resulting from that influx, Athenian culture developed the art of logic, and with it the idea of democracy. The art history of the Hellenic era is generally subdivided into four periods: the proto-geometric, the geometric, the archaic and the classical, with sculpture being further divided into severe classical, high classical and late classical. The first signs of the particular artistic character that defines ancient Greek architecture are to be seen in the pottery of the Dorian Greeks from the 10th century BC. Already at this period it is created with a sense of proportion, symmetry and balance not apparent in similar pottery from Crete and Mycenae. The decoration is precisely geometric, and ordered neatly into zones on defined areas of each vessel. These qualities were to manifest themselves not only through a millennium of Greek pottery making, but also in the architecture that was to emerge in the 6th century. The major development that occurred was in the growing use of the human figure as the major decorative motif, and the increasing surety with which humanity, its mythology, activities and passions were depicted. The development in the depiction of the human form in pottery was accompanied by a similar development in sculpture. The tiny stylized bronzes of the geometric period gave way to life-sized, highly formalized monolithic representation in the archaic period. The classical period was marked by a rapid development towards idealized but increasingly lifelike depictions of gods in human form. This development had a direct effect on the sculptural decoration of temples, as many of the greatest extant works of ancient Greek sculpture once adorned temples, and many of the largest recorded statues of the age, such as the lost chryselephantine statues of Zeus at the Temple of Zeus at Olympia and Athena at the Parthenon, Athens, both over 40 feet high, were once housed in them. Religion and philosophy. The religion of ancient Greece was a form of nature worship that grew out of the beliefs of earlier cultures. However, unlike earlier cultures, man was no longer perceived as being threatened by nature, but as its sublime product. The natural elements were personified as gods of completely human form, and very human behavior. The home of the gods was thought to be Olympus, the highest mountain in Greece. The most important deities were Zeus, the supreme god and ruler of the sky; Hera, his wife and goddess of marriage; Athena, goddess of wisdom; Poseidon, god of the sea; Demeter, goddess of the earth; Apollo, god of the sun, law, reason, music and poetry; Artemis, goddess of the moon, the hunt and the wilderness; Aphrodite, goddess of love; Ares, god of war; Hermes, god of commerce and medicine; Hephaestus, god of fire and metalwork; and Dionysus, god of wine and fruit-bearing plants. Worship, like many other activities, was done in community, in the open. However, by 600 BC, the gods were often represented by large statues, and it was necessary to provide a building in which each of these could be housed. This led to the development of temples. The ancient Greeks perceived order in the universe, and in turn, applied order and reason to their creations. Their humanist philosophy put mankind at the center of things, and promoted well-ordered societies and the development of democracy. At the same time, the respect for human intellect demanded reason, and promoted a passion for inquiry, logic, challenge, and problem-solving. The architecture of the ancient Greeks, and in particular, temple architecture, responds to these challenges with a passion for beauty, and for order and symmetry, which is the product of a continual search for perfection, rather than a simple application of a set of working rules.